Alai sama alai sumana le lai la ndema ilada alai sama alai ndema ilada sekotor tuju peknya dia borigal lai ndema ilada.
Here are 5 ways you can help combat stigma and discrimination as we fight against coronavirus COVID-19. 1. Educate your friends and family that COVID-19 is not specific to any race, nationality, or skin color. 2. Do not associate migrants with the virus. In many contexts, migrants are healthy and key players in nation building. 3. Remind others that discrimination may lead people to hide their symptoms rather than seek treatment. This puts everyone else at risk. 4. Be kind, considerate, and helpful to others in these difficult times. 5. If you know anyone experiencing symptoms, encourage them to dial 1025 for free.
Alai sama alai sumana le lai la ndema ilada alai sama alai ndema ilada sekotor tuju peknya dia borigal lai ndema ilada.
Yeah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. My esteemed viewers of Gunjur TV online, welcome to another talk, daily COVID-19 update, straight up with Ben Suwareh. Inshallah, today I will give you the updates about COVID-19, which is really taking a dramatic turn in the Gambia. The numbers are surging up. And unfortunately, the group that we don't want this virus to get in, that's the group that affected. That is the medical care profession. But before that, I will introduce you to my guest today, Ben Suwareh, who will review major talking points of the past week. Ben, welcome.
Live yet? Okay. Hello, Ahmad. Hope you can hear me loud and clear.
Yeah. No.
Can you hear me loud and clear?
I can hear you loud and clear. We are live now.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, very clearly. Yeah. So, as usual, you okay, introduce. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum, viewers. It's me, Sulayman Ben Suwareh of the Gambia Way Forward. I'm coming back live with Ahmed Manjang on Gunjur Online. Thank you very much, Ahmed, for giving me the opportunity again.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ben. You supplied me with some numbers yesterday about COVID, about the medical fraternity, the letter they sent to I can't say the president, whatever. COVID-19 is out of hand in the Gambia, if you know what I mean. From medical point of view, is out of hand, because where you don't want that virus is where it is now. That is the RVTH. The place is congested right now. They don't even have a regular running water. If now it goes, they don't have water, so it can go hours on end. They don't have water, and this is a chronic situation. I was taken to a senior health worker who lamented this to me. And just before that plane load of medical equipment arrived, in fact, on the same day, 3 or 4 days ago, he was telling me they are sort of um, they are sort of these PPEs, that is personal protective equipment. In fact, even when they are available, there is only one guy who is responsible of disposing this and distributing them. So when he goes home, the entire batch have to work without these PPEs. So as of today, I just have new figures. In fact, we have 24 new cases. And these are people from economic forces, Simlex, and another farm restaurant. I can't remember the name.
Yeah.
And also two more medical personnels. And these are two senior laboratory technicians from the central health departments, and also a laboratory technician from the same department. So that's another government department. So as I sit here, we can say like we have 10 doctors are currently infected and 12 nurses. And in total there are 6 healthcare personnel who are right now in quarantine. Could you imagine? Our medical staff in the Gambia are very, very limited. So if you have to take 60 people and put them in one place, that's near collapse. And today we have 2 confirmed new cases. That means 62. And it could be more than that. And these numbers, I can tell you, are going to start to go up on daily basis, unfortunately, and they're going to double every 2 days. That's the situation. So coming back to the COVID-19 numbers of countries that are very close to Gambia. So far, Ivory Coast recorded 14,000 cases. Senegal, 9,000. The past 24 hours alone, they recorded 145. And Guinea-Conakry, so far, 6,000. So it's completely out of hand, not only in the Gambia, but in the sub-region. But the problem with the Gambia, we were never prepared. Even when we have the money, there was no political will. All they are interested how much money everybody can take home. They refuse to invest and until we got ourselves in it. But we are here. One major corruption scandal that Ben have been warning the Gambians, for months. He was like shouting at the top of his voice. This is 6-7 months ago about this contract awarded to somebody who have no experience in building roads or bridges or whatever, and the contract was awarded to him. Nobody listened. Ben had to be vindicated, but Ben, unfortunately, we're going to tell you, are vindicated again in the most cruel of time, because we've seen Banjul how floods are. So Ben, remind Gambians about this situation, because you are very, very familiar with it. You do a lot of investigation about this contract that is given to this gay guy. How we end up here. Let's start with that.
Thank you, Ahmad. If you don't mind, let me just get to the COVID issue. I think.
Yeah, you can start with that. Let's start with that.
Yeah, because I am doing an investigation on that. I've been doing an investigation on that as well. And it was just because I'm in touch with the front line. And last week I made a program on it. And it's as we predicted. Ahmad, again, I am appealing to Gambians to take this seriously. When there was a time Gambians started to come out to doubt the scientists. Doubt the WHO. And WHO have been vindicated now. They say that it's going to be picking around this time in the Gambia, around the now it's picking.
In fact, so we remind Gambians about that, and this so particular so many times, not once.
Yeah. And Ahmad, we have actually again, the opposition have been quiet, but the Gambian social media activists have been holding this government accountable on the politicization of the COVID, on the corruption of the COVID, and incompetence of the COVID. But about more serious concerns, Nabat Clinic, apart from what I have done there, it's still not complete. It's still not complete.
Wow.
You are talking about RVTH. RVTH are still suffering from PPE. They don't even have
That's a fact. Yeah.
I've pointed this out. Facil Gambia have manufactured medical graded PPEs, bindi gowns, bindi gloves, bindi hats, bindi shoes, bindi mask, medical graded. MRC have been ordering from Facil medical graded equipment, and Facil have tried by all means to try Gambia government to patronize them, to order from them for Nobel. Now, why is this happening? If it's not corruption, why it's not happening? It's not corruption. But recently, today, I made a post. Several frontline health care workers in both private clinics and public hospitals are infected with COVID virus from cross-contamination. Serious concerns are raised on the safety of our healthcare practitioners and the general public. Has our healthcare system completely collapsed under the pressure of COVID emergency and the politicization, the incompetence and corruption and corrupt handling of the COVID-19 emergency? And I'll tell you, it's underreported. I have come across some people that they are in quarantine, but they don't want to be reported. It is underreported. I think our healthcare system have collapsed. And
it is.
I think the government should do the right thing now to call out for support. They call for support right now. They should not wait because of they're not fit for purpose. Then we continue. What is the real state of our healthcare system? We are investigating reports that the Gambia government had failed to manage the COVID-19 response due to incompetence and corruption. Procurement is based on corruption and not prioritized based on the real needs of the healthcare emergency. The politicization of the intervention is also raised as a concern that will lead to the system to fail. For example, we had a report that Gambia government took directives from the executive, the president's office, to pay $60,000 to airlift the 10 ambulances that were sponsored by the World Bank from the grant of $10 million COVID-19 emergency fund from the World Bank. The Gambia government decided to spend $60,000 to airlift these ambulances when they don't have to. The reason they did this is for politics. Let me complete this. I'll analyze that. From the World Bank, for the opportunity to parade the convoys of vehicle to be used as political capital by the president and his NPP or MPP party. We learned the Gambia government refused to accept the Turkish government offer to airlift some of the ambulances in their C-30 planes and ship the rest of the ambulances to arrive in the Gambia within 6 weeks. The government took the costly choice to pay for the services of transportation and still ensure delaying the arrival of the vehicle, as all the vehicles end up arriving in the country around the same time that the Turkish shipment was expected to have arrived. Why did the government not accept the free services and use the $60,000 to invest in completing the Namban clinic for the COVID patients and also provide adequate PPE for our healthcare workers? I hope the stakeholders will stand up to hold government accountable. Make sure they take their responsibility seriously in dealing with the national emergency. I am appealing to Gambians to take the COVID-19 emergency seriously. The emergency is real. Ahmad, the issue here is government decided to pay $60,000 when they don't have to pay. And this was a grant. And they went on radio and to say that President Barrow or Gambia government have purchased, which is not true. Gambia government have been donating this material from the 10 million the World Bank have issued. Now, the issue is here. Why did I say they wasted this money? And why did they have to waste this money? Turkish government have a smaller plane, which is called C-30, military plane. They could carry 2 to 3 ambulances at a time, but they offered to do one trip of 3 ambulances for emergency, and the rest would come to shipment. The Gambia government refused. They want all these vehicles to be in the Gambia at the same time. Why? So that they can showcase the 10 vehicles at the same time, and for President Bao to take the political capital on this. Now, why did they not decide to save that money and spend it on the Nemban clinic that need to be completed, so that all the COVID patients can be sent to the Nemban clinic, and our rest of our hospitals would be free from contamination, or reduce the risk of contamination, just because of politicization. But again, did someone benefit from this purchase? We have realized that whenever the government have an opportunity, they will go for a purchase, because of that way they will have their kickback. This is serious, and we are continuing this investigation. We want answers for this. The government should have bought this PPE, and the PPE are available in the Gambia. Facile Clothing is doing a standard which the MRC have approved of and bought from them. Why is the Gambian government not buying from a Gambian entrepreneur? Because of they cannot have their kickback from a Gambian entrepreneur. They rather, risk people's life, trying to order from distance, countries, and put the Gambian people's life at risk. This is the situation we have, and I hope Gambians would be, and the stakeholders, the opposition will come out and start speaking out. This is going beyond comparison. The Gambia healthcare system have been broken up completely. Now we are at risk, and I am appealing to Gambians to take this seriously and keep their distance. The government have been going on national emergency, extending it, or just to use it as a political game plan in order to rally their troops. This is completely unfortunate. But Gambians, we have to take this seriously and know that Barrow is not fit for purpose, and he would dare risk the life of Gambians in order to stay in power. Ahmed.
Ben, thank you very much. You said our healthcare system collapsed, but it's been broken down anyway.
Yes, but now
before even COVID-19, I'm going to read you the WHO statistics. Yeah. That is physician density per 10,000 people is 0.1.
Now,
so, 0.1 doctor for every 10,000. Yeah. Now we have 60 of those in the quarantine, and these two are going to add to that, and these two also will have contacts. So maybe the public health laboratory entire lab is going to go into quarantine. We cannot even meet our testing capacity.
And responsible government, this was the time you call for help. You don't wait for, because it's going to happen, Ahmad. We cannot. They play with this thing. This is the time to call for help. At least Gambians could have volunteered to go back or arrangement. Again, this is what we're telling them. They alienated the diaspora. If they had a diaspora strategy, whenever there is need, Gambians could have been available. These things are important, but again, I appeal to them. Some countries are getting better off. They might be able to release some of their health care workers to come and support us. But as we wait for this, it's going to be serious. And I hope the Gambian opposition parties could come out and hold Barrow accountable. The guy is sleeping. The guy has no control. Everything about this COVID is about money. It's about money, taking money from one place to another. But it's not about doing this. Can you imagine? They cannot even finish the Neman project. That have done his bit. That have finished what he undertook. Why are they not using the Neman clinic? Why are they not buying PPE?
Yeah, Ben, this is very sad, because already we lost two healthcare providers, and a lot more can go, because if you look at the list and their ages, some of them are in their 60s. That's these are old people, and maybe they might even have an underlying conditions. But the problem facing Gambia, we know we have to continue to hold Gambian, our authorities to account. But what I'm going to tell Gambians, please, let us all take personal responsibility. Consider everybody COVID-19 positive, including yourself, and do the right thing. Continue to wash your hand regularly. And if you don't have soap, you use alcohol hand rub. And use face mask anytime you are stepping out. And Gambians, please, if you don't have to go out, please stay at home. Let us stop the parties. Let us stop the Jentens. Let us stop the Manyobitos. For now, this is really, really serious because you look at, well, the most advanced country in the world, that is US. Let's nobody fool anybody, is US. But right now, it is in country, they have no
Completely sorry.
control. America's situation is similar to Gambia because we have an idiot with all the power at his disposal, but he decided to make everything political,
Yeah,
just like what is happening in the Gambia.
definitely.
Right now, President Barrow is so obsessed with his re-election, he
Yeah,
is ready to sacrifice your life.
yeah.
So, do you want to die before 2021? Is it worth it?
No,
Stay at home. Let us hold them to account, but let us take responsibility and stay because things are completely out of hand. We are talking about 10 doctors, 12 nurses. How many people those people have in contact past 2 weeks before they develop the symptoms? This is what we have to learn. How many people, if less than one doctor, if less than one doctor need 10,000 Gambians, how many people will visit those 22 people? And not only those 22 people, we have another 16 which are support staff. These are the porters, these are the cleaners at the hospital, these are the lab staffs. How many people they come in contact with? So
and,
we are having
and some of
real
their
challenge.
family members work at the health. Some of the family members work for the healthcare system.
Exactly. So this is not, but it was deliberate. I spoke to a senior government official who is working in the health. He's very worried, and they
Yeah,
are panic completely. There is complete panic now. Nobody knows what to do, and this is avoidable. They don't have the PPEs.
no,
Almighty Allah gave us the chance to prepare. Our numbers were very,
low.
very slow,
Mhm.
and we have the money in time, but they spend almost close to 1 billion.
Yeah.
Still, RVTH, our only referral hospital, cannot have enough. Sorry, Ben, I took over your program.
No,
Continue,
no,
please.
thank you. I mean,
Um,
it's quite an important issue to raise.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
again, we've been talking about this. We've been talking about the COVID emergency. We've been talking about the COVID finances, and it's going to go downhill. Unfortunately, it's going to go downhill. But it's up for the Gambians now to rescue that. The financial impact is going to happen. The social impact is going to happen. Are we ready? No, but we should. Later, better late than never. We come to the case of the Banyan project. And I
Yes.
said to Gambians again, I knew about the Banyan project when it was initiated. And it was initiated by a Senegalese contractor. I'm not going to name the contractor here because of he have not gained that contract. And that Senegalese contractor contacted Adam Barrow. At that time, you see, I keep on saying this to the UDP. We knew at that time Adam Barrow was already planning. To install himself and hijack our government. Then when they negotiated, and Mambure Njai was in the loop. Remember, this time Mambure was not even a finance minister. Mambure was in the loop. Then Adam Barrow appointed Mambure at the GNPC. That was just a holding position because they already agreed on what they want from it. And as it went on, Adam Barrow betrayed the Senegalese contractor according to their agreement. The Senegalese contractor was ready to pre-finance and do all the work that was required. He's a known contractor. He have done similar jobs and stuff like that. Yes, it was not right to go on negotiations like this, but that's what had happened. Now instead, Adam Barrow betrayed the Senegalese with this deal and decided now to bring Mambure Njai as the finance minister. And Mambure decided to construct this deal with their people, the same people from the APRC. Alaji Sise is related to Hadim Gai. It's Hadim Gai's brother-in-law. Now, this Hadim Gai is someone who have never had any experience apart from in the last days of Yajame doing some roads and networks. They are all bad design and they're not fit for purpose. In fact, the commissions have held him responsible for some of the work that been issued to him by Social Security to do roads for estates, and he have never delivered on those roads. This Hadim guy is a shop, petty trader at the Albert Market. And now, where did Hadim guy get the equipment? I've talked about that before. There's a suspect that this equipment might even belong to Yajam, because we knew of Yaya having these things, and probably he was working for Yajam. But now, that's a speculation here. Now, Hadim decided to become, from the blues, when Yajam was in the latter part of the Yajam regime. And when this government came, they give him this so-called contract. It's actually not a contract. It was not. The contract was not. Advertised for others to tendered for others to bid, and they turned around. Nobody know how they did the costings. The project documents were not seen. They did their dodgy stuff, and they tried to come and sell it to us that the contract was given to the Hadim because of the urgency of the project. They need to do this before the Banjul get flooded, before cholera outbreaks happen here, and Hadim is going to pre-finance this and 35 million. And now we are thinking that it's more than 35 million because Hadim have other levies that have been taken off for the contract for 35 million US dollars. In fact, it was numerated on US dollars. That was crazy. How can you? Everything about the contract was wrong. We sounded the bells. Actually, I did 3 programs on this. When it first came out, I did it after 1 year when Mayor Lowe standard the minister. I made a program on that, and I made a program. My last program was a few weeks ago, and we talked about the work quality consultants. Everything was poor. It doesn't happen. The guy doesn't have expertise. It was not working right. The financial arrangement was wrong. The environment impact assessment was not done. The work is not going to be delivered. We said that. I said that, and again, as I said, I got vindicated. We all see the floods, and Ahmad is going to get worse. Most of the money, it turned out again, it was not pre-financed. Now we are paying in advance, in fact, or paying so. If you look at the amount of work done and how much sales has been paid, it's just ridiculous. The project is overpriced, and nothing actually. It's right with this project. It's complete disaster. Any government that had done anything like this would have been gone. Gambia, we are letting Barrow get away with things every day. Barrow should have stepped down. Why did Barrow not do anything to Mambure? Nothing to the works minister, because he is part of the corruption. Why the government not taking about this? In any government, the
Sorry about that. We lost Ben. I don't know what's happened, but just before Ben come back, what he is talking about is the Banjul Road Rehabilitation Project. Ben, welcome back. The road rehabilitation project. Yeah, I don't know.
Sorry.
Either.
Yeah, as I said, everything about that project is wrong. And Ahmad, in any country that happened, something would have been done. Now, do you hear the opposition talk about this? I had Manjang, and as far as I know, Manjang is not part of any party. I've not seen the opposition. I'm not saying that opposition platforms. I am talking about opposition to come out and tell us and hold this government accountable. The heads need to roll. Not only heads need to roll, Adama Barrow, in fact, need to leave that office. The more we leave Adama Barrow in that office, he will do anything. He doesn't care about Gambia, and the guy is not fit for purpose. Ahmad, you can come in there.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, Ben, this is interesting. You know, I watched 2 of those programs. One, you know, before the program was even initiated, and also when they class with Rohim Ali Kalo on the Banjul streets. You know, guys, what we are discussing here is the Banjul Road Rehabilitation project we've seen. You hear the money, Ben just quoted 35 million. Could you imagine that? And we've seen this is just July. The entire Banjul got flooded. If their houses are mud houses, it could be. And someone in fact died. You know, somebody died. A Senegalese national lost his life. in proper functional countries, somebody should be arrested by now and reminded, because this is pure negligence. So this is what we have. What corruption. When COVID started and everybody was, I told Gambians, what, corruption will kill more people than COVID-19, and that's a
19
fact.
years. Yeah.
Yeah, could you imagine this? Hadim Gay, as Ben said, he's a petty trader, but
Yeah.
how did he end up with 35 million contract? 35 million US dollars
Because
contract.
his brother-in-law is the chief
Yeah,
protocol.
yeah, exactly. So you hear that connection. This is what nepotism is all about. And Banjul seawares were designed about 60 or 40 years ago, whatever,
Yeah.
during the colonial days. The water level, the sea level at the time is completely different from now. So those sewers cannot be rehabilitated. They need to be redesigned to fit the modern, what we are now, the sea level in Banjul, how far it is. But unfortunately, they give this, civil engineering job to a cosmetic designer. That's, is just unbelievable, terrible. So Ben, what's the way forward now? Because this money partly spent, and Banjul is in complete mess. We'll come to the Jambanjel Road, but Ra, what next?
Ahmad, the problem here is the next government coming have to clean the system. This government cannot clean the system, as I said. You see, when you take kickbacks, you're disarmed. What can you do?
Yeah.
I gave you part of it. What can you do to me? You dare not take me to court. You dare not take me to court. And the ministers who were responsible cannot even be sacked.
Yeah.
Cannot be sacked because of the ministers were in it with the president.
Yeah.
The president was in it.
But Ben, how serious this matter and how big it is? Why our parliamentarians didn't call this man immediately for explanation,
Yeah.
or the minister or the president?
This is the silly thing about it. Apparently, I remember somewhere they said no, this thing cannot be put to this thing because it's a PPE. That's ridiculous. PPE. End of the day, Gambia government is paying for it again. Our tax money. Part of the supplementary budget. It's manual budget. End of the day, they went to Parliament to ask for money, and it was disgraceful to see Tumanjai celebrate the Banyu project when everything about the project was illegal. You see, even if the project have turned out to be excellent, everything about this was illegal. You cannot celebrate something that is illegal. We should set standards. We should set standards. And there's no standard in this government. Everything about the government is corrupt. Today, the Gambian people should have organized themselves and make sure Adama will step down and not run for election. I'll tell you another thing. Medically, if Adama Barrow was taken for an examination, Adama Barrow will fail his medical. Do Gambian know why Adama Barrow sleeps at every gathering? Because he's under heavy medication. He's under heavy medication. When he came to Saudi Arabia with Hajj, when he came with Lawyer Dabo, Ahmad Ba, and my father, they nearly lost him in Saudi Arabia. We know about that. He was put on wheelchair to go to that conference. That's why when he sat on that conference, he just knocked out because he was on heavy medication. You think it's normal for every occasion, even the last one here, every occasion, the minute this guy sits down, he goes to sleep. Then what does he do when he is behind his, in his office, behind closed door? What does he do? If you prepare yourself, knowing that next tomorrow or day after tomorrow, I'm going to a function, and you still cannot keep yourself awake. And Gambians are seeing that, laughing about that. This is the person who should be responsible of our country. This is the person that we give all the powers to. If we had a nuclear missiles, this guy would have been the one in charge of the nuclear button. Why are we limiting ourselves? Why is Gambia settling for this? Why are Gambians settling for this? We should not wait for elections. This is an emergency. It required leadership to come together and make sure Adama Barrow goes. I am from now on, because of the COVID finance given. If Gambians listen or not, I am going to say it. And Ahmad, you say again, and I hate it, you say again, I'm vindicated. Because of Barrow is going to bankrupt that country. Financially, he's already bankrupt the country morally. The little we regained after 2016 election have evaporated. Gambia, it's run by an administration that have no moral compass at all. They cannot speak about anything. They cannot talk about the abuses of victims. They don't talk about corruption. What can they talk about? Nothing, absolutely. How can you have a government that have 0% morals? And now, financially, we are bankrupt. The amount of money we borrowing from our domestic market, let's see what's going to happen. Tourism is gone because of what? Again, political capital. Ahmed is left. Ahmed is left as the minister of tourism, and have revealed how much corruption have gone through the ministry. Why is he there? He will not be sacked. He will not be replaced. Tourism is dead. The diaspora remittance is limited now due to what affects us here. What this government doing? No. And Ahmad, the government should have by now assistance, not money. They need the capacity building. They need the expertise to come back to the Gambia to help. But they will not do this until probably weeks to come, and they will start to do it when it's too late. When so many Gambians are dead, and people have to remember too, when you have medical professionals, and some of them, if they're infected, they might never be the same. They might never be the same people. They might alive, manage to stay alive, but they might never be the same. And how long does it? You know better. How long does it take to train a medical person? Not only train them, the qualification, the experience. That amount of experience we cannot. It's not sustainable even for developed countries. Imagine for the Gambia to have zero experience. This is everybody's exposed. It's unfortunate.
Yeah. Ben, we've seen how our parliament disappoint, and as you said, Tumajalo celebrated Tumanjai when he shouldn't, because the guy is corrupt. But Ben, you said we need to replace Adama Barrow. Adama Barrow need to go. But you look at the other options. If this is in England, this will be in the Prime Minister question time immediately, that very afternoon. But where are the opposition with these figures, with the statistic you are mentioning here, the relationship of this Hadim Gay to Kiev Protocol, that their brother-in-laws, and the amount of money involved, and we've seen, the project, how it failed. Why we don't see the press conference about this particular issue from our positions? And these are the other options. So
I'm telling you something. I'm saying something here. This is an allegation, but it's very possible. And if the opposition want to prove themselves, let them come out and prove themselves. I am not only holding Adam accountable here. Gambia is a small knit society. The same way Alaji Sise is related to Hadim, the same way it's related to many people in different political parties. Not one, many. Almost all the political parties. Mambure the same and others. You see, this is the problem with Gambia. Now, they want to look for someone's teeth, but they don't want to talk about their teeth. Now, and some of these people, businessmen, are very strategic. They make sure they don't only buy the government, but they buy part of the opposition. They buy part of the opposition. Most of the opposition talking about this corruption and everything, they are in the diaspora. Look at the opposition on the ground. Why there are no opposition platforms on the ground? All the platforms are in the diaspora. Why are there no opposition platforms on the ground? Just as the press, apart from that interview or that expose Kelfatu did with the minister, you hardly hear anything about these projects. The minute you put your head up, they get there and buy you off. This is the reason they get away with this. And I think our politicians too need strategies to understand what is happening here. Gambia have a system. Not only we are not exclusive parliament based. Because why did I say that? In a parliament based system, the prime minister have to be in parliament all the time. Because we have a mixture of things. We have a presidential base. The president only answers to the parliament when he is called upon, and he have an option to send his or her vice president. Now, how can you hold that person effectively accountable? It's not only through parliament, because there are strategies that the government plays in parliament in order, because they know parliament have limited time. That's why they do filibustering. You know, again, when they come to answer, there's a way they answer questions that would be open-ended, and you will never hold them accountable in that sense. The only effective way to hold government accountable in parliament is through select committee. When you get them on select committees, you have the time and put the questions and expose them and hold them accountable. But in this case, the opposition should run shadow cabinets. Opposition should run spokesperson. If you want to avoid even the word shadow cabinet, because some of them will say, okay, if you appoint shadow cabinets now, these people will have the expectation to be ministers. But you can appoint them as spokesperson. Now, every ministry should have someone dedicated in holding that minister accountable. The president should have the leader of the opposition, holding the president, talking to the president, or talking even above the president, so that they can control the narrative. In this way, the government will be held accountable. But if the government realize that they can do anything and get away with it, they will continue doing it whilst the country is facing a great risk. And now that's where we are. Look at all the issues going on. You don't hear about them because the opposition is not structured in a way that they can hold government accountable. And in this day and age, we have an advantage here. Government cannot monopolize the press, because the press now is social media. How comes anything in the Gambia now we determine it from social media? Because it hurts, it gets to them, and that's how you hold them accountable. Why can't the opposition on the ground do the same thing? What's stopping them? They expect to go to political rallies and talk about statements and move away. It doesn't hurt. This is a daily point of holding this thing and win the confidence of the people. And once government realize that you are commanding confidence, what do? They're scared, because then they are losing. But in this case, they are not. They are not actually. Barrow's government is the most unpopular government, but it's kind of looking secure. And I know people who say, but we are not in elections. How can we take him out? This is again, when someone abuses power, there's a process. And that process should be followed. And there is a process through parliament. And without parliament, there's a process that the people take back the power they given. Because we vest the power on the president and we can demand that. If we realize that the president have hijacked, and in this case, the president have done something illegal, he went to parliament, hijacked the parliament. We have evidence that he bought vehicles and bribed the parliament. We have evidence that he gave envelopes to parliament. Now he has cut off parliament and control the parliament. Now the only fear and control we have now is the power, because the power we vested on our parliamentarians have been hijacked. Now, how can we hold the government accountable without being ready? When you have leadership, look at Mali today. I'm giving an example to Mali. I'm not saying that that's what we have. That is on chaos. It came out from chaos. We should avoid chaos. Ahmad, today, if you have a charismatic leader that can come out and call out people, you might have something. But I don't want that. I want an organized leadership of men of Gambians that will stand up and ask for Barrow to step down. And if Barrow steps down, we can have an interim government that will look after the rest of this period. It is better. Barrow will step down, the vice president will step down, and that is possible. Because when you go, it's a process. I'll just take a brief to explain the process. When you make the demands, and you have a standoff. When you have the standoff, then the president has to, and the international committee will have to intervene, and ECOMOG will be given instruction that, look, what you have to do is stand back. This is internal. ECOMOG is not there for internal issues. It's not there for internal issues. This is not to do the armed forces. This is the Gambian people. This is their democratic right. Just as as it was the Americans' democratic right to have Black Lives Matters out, it's our democratic right to have a Gambian Matters life out. And if that happened, the president will have to negotiate. And if he negotiates with the leadership, what the leadership would demand is, we want to abide by the Constitution. Now, before you resign, we want you to appoint Aishatu, not okay, Fatumata or Mariama. Then Mariama, out of this, we from our cabinet, and he have to appoint that person as the vice. That vice would have already have agreement with the leadership that this is your mandate, and we hold you to that mandate, and they dare not. And that vice goes in and be a vice president. Then the president resign, and that vice will assume power. And that vice assume power. What do? Reform cabinet. Put the people that will never run for elections. The vice president, they are not even trying to run elections, and we go by. This is a process, but it can be done. We have to start thinking now, not wait for Barrow and elections. The country can go on a front line any day. Any day. And I am saying it here again, on record. The COVID medical emergency, it's very real, and it's a real threat. The COVID finance is a little bit further down, but it's real, and it's a real threat. The condition of that country, it's a real threat further down the line, and we have to be prepared now. We should have contingency plans. Ahmed government to have contingency plan. Any organization should have a contingency plan. Political parties should have contingency plan. You cannot have a contingency plan. You cannot just expect to go to elections. You should say if. What if? What determines your assessment of a contingency plan? It's the narrative now. What is the Gambia going through now? We are in a state of mind. We are dealing with a government that is enough. It's corrupt to the core and ineffective. Now, should I just sit down as a political party thinking that I am going to wait for 21? No, I should be prepared. If the COVID gets to here, if it gets to here, what should I do? Now it's here, what should I do now? What should the opposition be doing now? Because the opposition was excluded by Barrow for political purposes. If Barrow would have done the right thing, the opposition should have been part of the steering committee or whatever you call them. They should have feature. The private sector should have feature. Civil society should have feature. Now it would have been an inclusive, task. Now we all would be given responsibility in this. But if that had happened, Barrow would not have the control he had now. This is what he did it for. Now he can extend 1 week. We saw what happened in Gunjur. We saw what happened in Serakunda. We saw in Bakau. When they extend all this 1 week, they disregard. It was all about politics. Why is this happening? If the government, if the opposition realize that the country is not governed, but it's on a free will. Gambia is not being governed. Gambia is on a free will. It's a free will, and the free will means that it's just sliding. Just like a plane gliding. Gambia is just gliding. Now it's like the prayers or whatever you call it. But you cannot tell me that that country is governed when things are happening this way. You have a government that's not functional. You have an opposition that's not functional. Civil society, obviously, they don't have the capacity to do anything. The private sector is being dominated by foreigners who are who are just interested in profit making. They don't care about the country. This is where we are today. The country is divided socially now than ever before. But now it's weakened. Society is weakened now than ever before. Not only the issue about our past historic relationship, but the handling of that. What does the government do for the victims? Now we see every day someone is coming out to agitate the victims. And we are talking about reconciliation. Where's the reconciliation? The people that the perpetrators of crime are out there irritating us. Then again, is the goodwill. The Gambia as itself. It's because of it have law-abiding citizens for that matter, and that's why if I hear Gambians are violent or anything, I don't think so. In other countries where you have all these factors in, they break up before you know it. But we are not immune to that. We are still in the woods, and we need leadership to come out. And that leadership, again, I'm not only calling that leadership from the opposition. I am calling that leadership from civil society. I am calling that leadership from any but I want a united front where people come in. It's a disgrace that with all that going on, we have seen the politicization of parliament, the tactical alliance, people looking the other way if you think it doesn't favor your party, or people looking this way if you think it favors your party. People are not, I'll tell you, the parties are not looking at the national interest. How come? How come the parties are not sitting down together? And this goes for all the parties. It doesn't have to be the biggest party. It doesn't have to be the smallest party. CA can call up, write a letter to all politics. We have to take positions of leadership, Ahmad. Now, if I was advising CA, I would ask them to write to all political parties, register political parties, write to the IC, write to the, send a letter to the international community, and invite them on a dialogue and sit them on the table. If Barrow didn't turn up or whoever did not turn up, then they'll be seen as they don't have the national interest. And whoever turned up, you have legitimacy. That's how you legitimize your position. You have a legitimacy, this thing, to have a narrative. And when you come out there, when you write to the international community, you come and send their witness to witness what is happening. And if you do that, you write to the law enforcement to come and witness what is happening. They will respect you for that. And they will recognize you for that. Now, from there on, you guys will deliberate. What is the interest here? What should we do about this? What contingency plan should we have as part of the leadership? And opposition is part of governance. And opposition is not an enemy. And opposition is not only to stand there to criticize. And opposition should take proactive positions to give ideas and to make sure government functions well. This is what an opposition is. Not to sit on your hands, thinking of misfortunes or waiting for elections. Oh, he will be unpopular and election. No, you should do whatever you can to limit the damage and prescribe solutions to problems. But do we see that? Not really, not at all. And I think this is what is failing in the Gambia. The politics of Gambia is still not matured, and I am disappointed. I am disappointed. And seeing people like Bibi Dabo who should know better. Why did Bibi form a party? If you form a party and sit, what are we waiting for? This is ridiculous. He should have even rather just go and be an elderly statesman, and so that he would have that account of neutrality, and he could have probably taken the leadership today. We have seen Andus Kamara. May his soul continue to rest in peace. Andus Kamara was the person that helped during his time, during the dictatorship. He stood. Yahya Jammeh has offered him a lot. He refused everything. He refused speaker. He refused position in the cabinet and everything. He refused even an advisor because he knew it wasn't genuine. He stayed within the government opposition and served as an elderly statesman, and he helped in many negotiations and to tamper. Use his temperament and experience to guide the then opposition. These are things that we expect from. Ahmad, it's not about everybody wanting to be president. We all have a position of leadership. What you're doing today now, you have or the people you work with, this is a position of leadership you people too. What I am doing here today, I am not doing it to be a minister or anything else. I am doing it because of this is my right and it's my duty. And we expect Gambians to take their rights and duty in position of leadership. It's not only to come out because they want to seek political office, they want to be presidents, they want to be MPs. Now people have to see them or what. And we are creating a vacuum here. I'm going to go around and listen to different platforms. And look, I don't blame them. Some of these people, I don't blame them because they are doing as much as them, but they don't have the experience. They don't have the knowledge. Most of the thing they're doing is from emotion and from taking information wherever it comes. It serves their purpose. They put it out there. This is very serious because a vacuum is out there. Now these people would I think, and the more they sit out there and speak out whatever they do, and they see their viewing number go up, they are energized. They are inspired. And some of these statements that come from these networks, or platforms, I'll tell you, can destabilize the country. Now we have found out that fake news is one thing that destabilizes society quicker than anything else. You don't have to do much. All you have to do, have control over a platform and feed them information, and they run with that information. And one thing, I mean, can happen and be a fault line, and we see ourselves into a problem. Ahmad.
Yeah, Ben, thank you very much for that informative segment. Basically, you established that we don't only lack leadership in the presidency, but in the opposition as well. They're not providing the leadership we expect from them. They should be now putting Barrow under a lot of pressure, and that can come from any political party, as you say, call, CA. It can be Kanu or whatever. But we need that leadership. Somebody should just come out and direct things. You said we are in cruise control mode, that or a ruler left ship if you want. We don't know where we're going to land. So you even alluded to maybe prayer, but I don't think even prayer can save Gambia right now. People have to get up and do something, so we can continue. Ben, quickly on, yes, I say 1 hour, but this
Yeah.
program is rescheduled lately, so we can go for another 20 minutes. You've seen the Jambanjel routes. From Sukuta to Jambanjeli, any house along that way, the compound were flooded. This looks like another white elephant. So I was joking to somebody, COVID-19 exposed historical and current corruption, but the July rains exposed the corruption within the Barrow presidency. What's your take on that?
Ahmad, again, this is what we say. You see, when Gambians think that building infrastructure, white elephants are development, we have a problem. We have a problem. You see, when you say some of these things, they say, "But why?" Because some of us come from Jambanjeli or around that route. They say, "Why we don't deserve a road?" Others say, "Why they are this road?" But there's a process that meant to be followed. Ahmad, you have to make sure. In fact, you do a pre-qualification for the people, companies that are capable to do your assessment. Government technical services might not have the expertise, because what the problem is here, some of these jobs need highly skilled people, and government don't pay. We all know that. It's only few good people stay in government because of they want to give service. But most of these kind of projects needed to be outsourced to the private sector that have the capacity to do it. You rather spend the money today or spend the money right. It might sound expensive not doing it now, but it will have a lasting, sustainable effect. Rather than doing it anyhow, and they have paid good money. Almost every major project in that country, it's not done right. Every major project is not done right. But because of what? Kickbacks. Kickbacks. If you go from the Jawara government to now, we have this problem of bribery. People become rich. I can go on projects from one project to another. And if you look at this, you don't have to be an engineer. You see the problems. You don't have to be an engineer. You see the problems. When you build roads, and the roads are above our structures, or the roads, you build a road and you see the some of them even don't have drainage system, or the drainage system is that small. You didn't factor in the speed or the amount of water that drops within a short period. You didn't factor a lot of other things. That engineers would have known this. That's why I said you give the contract to people who are fit for purpose to do the assessment, to make sure they do the environmental impact assessment and every other aspect, and they would give it costing, and the consultants will stand there to make sure that the job is done as prescribed. The job is done as prescribed. And another problem we have is maintenance. We have to have a policy of maintaining something to be sustainable. You cannot have a built capital, and once you build the capital and you expect that capital to be sustainable, and you don't maintain the capital. And when we draw contracts, another thing is contract. Contract laws are very fun. But if you take kickbacks, you don't even determine the contract you sign. If you sign a good contract, that road should be protected. I mean, under warranty for a certain period. But if a road too is under warranty, there will be a caveat to tell you that you have to have this position of maintenance in place, and it's a compliance issue. When you do these things, there are records that can be disputed, and if the road is not durable according to what you have agreed in your contract, then you have a case that you can take to the courts and likely win the case for this thing. And if the companies know that you have done your due diligence properly, your contracts have been the underwriters have looked at it and everything is sealed and tight, they will not mess up because they know. I mean, you have something to come back onto them, but we don't have that. Everything is based on bribery, kickbacks. This is how our government officers make money, because they are not paid that much to have this lifestyle they have. And when people say corruption, why am I not evidence? Look, do you know where the evidence is? You know the person's salary and you see the person's lifestyle. That's enough evidence. If you want to have evidence, you have to investigate. If you don't investigate, how can you say I'm in evidence? And as citizens, what we have to do is plausibly look at things and raise our voice and ask for investigation. And if there's enough reason to believe, when you do investigation, you don't believe that you have evidence. You cannot have evidence and do investigation. No, you have to have a reason to believe that something is not right here. And as citizens, we should be smart enough to look for things and point it out. No, we have our suspicion and this, and we make our allegations. And these allegations would warrant the government to do investigation. And in the investigation, government will find evidence or not. This is what should happen. That's why we call for government to be transparent. When you are transparent, it's easier for the citizens to be able to hold you accountable. That's why we ask government to provide information and timely. And day and age today, every project in that country should be feeded online. Gambians should be able to see it. If a government practice that the transparency and that openness, you know what happened? You are effective, because of anybody you deal with would know that, look, if I messed up anything, Gambians are aware and it's on record. And this is the way we have a good government. But a government that do everything secrecy, a government that goes out deliberately to employ people who have already been found out to be corrupt. Can you imagine? It's only in Gambia this can happen. Even in the cartels, even the cartels, they have a moral code. If you fall short of that, you are punished. Regardless of who you are, you can be the son or the daughter, you can be wife or the father. If you break those codes, you are punished. But this government don't have any moral code, not at all. How can you decide to take the same finance minister? How can you decide? I think at times the World Bank or the IMF would be looking at, are we still dealing with a different government, or are we still dealing with the same government? Because it's the same office they meet. But do you know the interesting part about this again, Gambia? Nobody would do it for us. You think the World Bank is not aware of this fault? You think the IMF is not aware of the faults? You think the Chinese and other... No, all these institutions are there for their own interest. Nobody looks out for our interest. We have to look out for our interest. Do we not just say, oh, the World Bank will World Bank reports, and end of the day, what comes out of the World Bank report? It doesn't stop the World Bank doing business with them. It doesn't stop the Chinese or Indians doing business with them. The only time we stop them is when us Gambians are proactive, not to be reacting, proactive and holding the government accountable. That then will happen. But as Gambians, we belong to institutions. And again, when people said to me, come and join my party, come and join. I said, what am I joining your party for? What change would I bring into your party? Your party is not structured in a way that will be effective, but come, you change it within. How do I have time to change an organization within? Do I have the influence? Do I have the power? If I can change an organization within, why would I go and change that organization within? I build my organization then. I must be very influential or very powerful. I mean, to be able to be co-opted in an organization and change that organization. It doesn't make sense. That's why I'm appealing to Gambians. Whoever belongs to an institution, and it's not only unique to political parties, any institution, do your best to make sure that institution perform. Ahmad, we can only develop when we have institutions that are responsible. We cannot develop when we, build people up and celebrate, and worship them as demigods. The reason China won, it's because they have institutions. Any country that builds their institution, they won. Call them a dictatorship, call them whatever. Any dictatorship that failed to have institutions, that dictatorship will collapse. And this was the history of Yahya Jammeh. When I did my assessment with Yahya Jammeh, I realized, look, this guy is not holding on to nothing. All it has to take is Gambians to be smart and dictate the narrative. Now, all my strategy was not to deal with an institution, no. It was to target strategic individuals I know the dictator rely on. Another thing was to put information to areas I know the six dictators go and source information from. And what happens is you take control of the narrative. This is how it becomes. This government is doing the same thing. The Minister of Finance is not an institution. It's run by key individuals. That's why when I want information, I know where to get it from. The Minister of Defense is not an institution. It's run by a few people. It's not a department. It's run by a few people. Every department in that country, it's run by a few people. It's not run on any system. You can get anything you want from them because that's the way it is. The country would collapse any day. The country would collapse any day. Countries. I give an example of Senegal. You think Abdoulaye Wade, Macky Sall can just call up the army and do anything he wants? Yes, he can call up. This thing for a certain, but if it gets to a level, the army will say no. He cannot even command the police to do some of these things. Yes, they might go to a demonstration and be heavy-handed. But if it gets to a certain level, it's no. When Abdoulaye Wade lost the election, Abdoulaye Wade wanted, sat on, he didn't want to concede. The Minister of Interior he appointed was visited by the service chiefs. And they visited the Minister of Interior and advised him, and the Minister of Defense said, we cannot stand and see this country be destabilized. We want you to get to the president and tell him that he has to concede defeat as it's all clear that he has lost the election. We are not going to tolerate any destabilization here, and Abdoulaye Wade have to come out. Abdoulaye Wade have to come out and concede defeat. And this is a fact we know of. These are issues that we have to understand. You see, this is the reason why we didn't have the reforms. The three most important part in that government to do was the civil service, was the security sector, and society itself. Why the government failed to do all these three? The way he had the civil service, then that allows him to be the person who he is now. He have the powers, fire and hire. Now they dance to his tunes. He don't need to restructure anything. One. Then the same thing about the security sector. He thinks that's where he failed. You can get away with it in the civil service, not the security sector. He thinks that he can have control of the security service by appointing the senior command and give them what they want, and the senior command will take care of the things. It's impossible. Militaries don't work that way. He would completely fail. And especially where Gambia have gone to. I'm telling him, that's why when I always talk about national security, I say that security sector would be a catalyst for disaster in the country. It has to be dealt with, and it needs to be changed. Society. You don't want to change how society thinks. You don't want to change the mindset of society, because the way society is divided, the social cohesion, because where social cohesion is, that society is enriched, that society deal with issue maturely, that society work together and no, you don't want society to work together, because it's not to your interest. To your interest is society to be divided. Yahya Jammeh was only able to put fear in us because we were divided. The fear didn't come before the division. No, it was the opportunism. Yaya played our mindsets because of being opportunists. If I touch the soldiers now, nobody will say anything. Then you're a soldier, like if I touch some individuals in Fajara and come and message that, everybody, wow, Fajara, then corrupt. If I touch some people, no, Polila, then bad affair, then for the new figure. If I touch, it would go on that way. Then everybody sat back. That's what makes him powerful. Now, the same thing about Barrow, he doesn't want any reforms in society. He doesn't want to invest in society so that we can educate our people and to put civic education as a priority. Because informed people will take, smart choices, will make smart choices. But he knows that he's not a smart choice. He doesn't want us to know that. He wants us to be distracted while he does what he does. The reason Barrow indulged in corruption, yes, it's because he's greedy. But again, he's using corruption as an opportunity to entertain himself, thinking that the more I let these people free to do what they want, these people will go and champion for me. They don't want me to go. Yeah, he has his kickbacks, but he thinks that he is making millionaires that will back him. This is a narrative that he doesn't understand how it's done. The Ablaiwala, this is called the Ablaiwala factor. When you come in as an outsider, you come in, you create a new elite, but you don't create them in the manner he did. Even Ablaiwala failed in that sense because of those things are very tricky to manage. And the elites that Ablaiwala created, what happened? The minute Macky Sall came in, what did he do? He poached Ablaiwala's son. When he poached Ablaiwala's son, those people around the new elites ran out because they are opportunists. They are not ideologists. Ideologists would die for what they believe in. Opportunists don't believe in anything. All they believe in is, how do I get my next meal? People like Samuel Sarr. Samuel Sarr is, people don't even know. Samuel Sarr is the biggest intelligence for Macky Sall on the opposition. These are things that they do. These are opportunists. Gambians would learn from this. Barrow is trying something he doesn't understand. Barrow is trying something he's not sophisticated to deal with. Barrow is trying something that is very risky in the Gambia, because the Gambia today have gone through 22 years of dictatorship. Gambia today is bankrupt in all sense, not financial, moral, and everything. Gambians are feeling hopeless, which should not happen. In order to manage the stability of the country, the people have to be hopeful. The people have to want to see tomorrow. But if people don't have anything to look for up to tomorrow, you think their life would value or matter anything, especially the youths? And Barrow expect that is sustainable? Something will have to give. And what will have to give is the security and the peace of the country. Now, this is where I tell Gambians again, especially the Gambians that think or believe they have something, they gain, that they achieve something, especially the Gambians who are outside or inside, who cares about Gambia. You cannot care about Gambia thinking that, no, school, that does not even bring about the change. It helps in the process of the change. Look at the important one, land make sure they can be done. If not, Bala Halebo di water school, they can be done. And this is what we know. And people, especially the opportunists, I'm telling them, the so-called elites, the so-called opportunists in that country, be careful. It happens in Liberia, it happens in Sierra Leone, it happens in Ivory Coast, it happens in Congos, it happens everywhere that we have destabilization. When things kicks off, mainly it's the disadvantage that will take control. If the system break off, what happens? People that think their lives are valued or they have something, they try to run. And some of them will escape and go and be refugees in other countries. But the majority that stay, they don't have an option. The other refugees that just go beyond, outside the border and suffer are the very weak. But the able, disadvantaged, stay and take control. And when they take control, who are these people? Are majority youths and adults who have nothing. And now who are angry and bitter and want to pay back because of what they went through. And who do they recognize? The people who have something, the people who have lived in suburbs, people who live in enclaves, people who have lived in gated communities. These are the people. They, regardless of what you are, you might be a doctor, an architect, an engineer, a private sector, and everything. They don't see a difference. What they see that you are an elite, you made all this on their mission, and they will come after you. When they come after you, they don't come because of their just envious. No, they are bitter. They want to hurt you for all the years they've been hurt. And these people becomes, mentally unstable. They get to your house. What they do first is to put you under control. When they put you under control, they inflict pain on you. They will rape. That's why rape is, people don't understand why rape goes up in conflict. Because it's a means. It's not about sex. Rape is not about sex. It's about someone having problems trying to get it out, trying to hurt someone. It's not about sex. It's about bitterness. And now when they rape you, they'll rape your children, they'll rape your wife, and they'll rape you yourself. That tells you. And most of the people raping you are not gay. They might not even put their sexual organs on you. What they do is they take an object and put it in your backside in order to inflict the pain. And if they do everything like that, they take everything they can take, the movables and everything, they lit the house in fire. Why do they do that? Again, it's the amount of anger, the hate they have for you. That's why it's to our interest, Ahmad. And I'm not talking about only the people, the influencers on the ground. I'm talking about the influencers in the diaspora. Ahmad, I have thought about something yesterday. You know, this time around, we would have been going to Hajj. And probably we can say that 300 or 2,000 Gambians would have gone to Hajj. Ahmad, I can raise my hands just to show you how much even we understand our religion. Out of 2,000 Gambians that would have gone to Hajj, not even 5% of that amount would decide to say that I intended to go to Hajj this year and I have what it takes to go to Hajj. But because of this pandemic, I'll take this money that I was going to Hajj with and give it to this family to get them out. And I believe, or I have hope, that Allah would accept my Hajj. If next year comes and I still can do it, and then I'll go. If I don't have it, I believe that Allah prescribed me to take this wealth this year. I intended to take Hajj and give it to someone. And I believe my understanding of my religion, then I'll have Hajj. But do you know what religion means to us? We follow religion because we are fearful. Fearful of what? Fearful of being poor. Fearful of being having misfortunes. Fearful of dying and go through this thing. But the fearful of dying is disregarded. What comes over the fear is the greed. We will be fearful of all this, but our greed will not let us. We will be corrupt. We'll do everything, but we want to use religion to cover this thing. If we had understand religion as religion should be, I am not talking on the premises of Islam here. I'm talking about religion itself. And as I have my understanding that we should not be worshipping because of we want something. No, we worship because of we are believers and we believe in this and we worship this. If we worship anything we believe, we do that. If we are Muslims, we worship Allah. We worship Allah because of we are commanded to do that. We don't worship Allah because we want to go to Jannah or we are scared of going to hell. Jannah and hell, you cannot work for that. That's Allah's desires to give to you. What you have to work for, it's yourself and what you can do to improve. But most people will tell you, oh, I'm fasting Thursdays, I'm fasting Fridays, I'm fasting Mondays. But that is for them to feel satisfied and reassured about something of a reward. You ask them, oh, it's good, it gives you this, it makes you go Jannah on this. How many of them would think of, I should be going to volunteer to help children educated, or help this, or help that, or help the elderly, or do that, in order for my society to build a cohesive, cohesive society. Building a cohesive society. Do they even know the reward of building a cohesive society? Regardless of what religion they are, regardless of what they are, because of when Allah prescribed us to look after each other. Allah did not tell us to look after black people, white people, Arab or black or nothing. Allah prescribed to look after human beings. It prescribed us to look after human beings. But you see, the minute we take our religions or our beliefs, what do? We start to segregate other people and believe on this. And this is where I'm talking about now. Why am I expressing this? Because of the distortion of our consciousness. This is the most dangerous issue. And this affects mostly, in fact, the people who have influence. But that's why we didn't have change. We have to change ourselves in order to change. We don't expect to bring change when ourselves are not.
Yeah, I was going to say, when it comes to religion, never underestimate a fuller man. Today you saw me another dimension of your understanding of religion. Imam Bak also mentioned something like this a couple of weeks ago. He was being slaughtered by the Salafis. About this Hajj thing, because it's not our desire not to go, but because of a pandemic, and you have the money already. Your intention is what Allah look at, not the physical thing. That he said that many times, not the way how you dress. So, and also then coming to how many people, comparing this first, which is good, but how many people will volunteer? Like the time you are volunteering here, you are following the exact teaching of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If you see injustice, take your hands to remove it. If you can't, talk against it. If you cannot do that, also he said it, you hate it inside your heart, and that's the weakest of all the iman. So that's exactly what you are doing. The injustice, the malgovernance, all that is going in the Gambia every day. You are coming out to remind Gambians. Whether they act on it, but you are doing your part. Like what we've seen in Banjul. You warned Gambians about this with facts. This is 6-7 months ago, before the program even started. And when the mayor of Banjul also went and confronted, you come out again and remind Gambians. The executive will not do anything because they are complicit, but our parliamentarians, what do they do about it? Our opposition, what do they do about it? And that brings us to the final segment of this discussion. I don't give you a head start on this, but it's everywhere. The significant resignation in our election house. And now there is a rumor, which I don't even want to discuss about, that one Mr. Njai, might take over.
No, I think the Mr. Njai thing, Femi Mahoney is a troublemaker. Femi wrote that book. And I think people, Mr. Njai do get to people. He should be, he irritates Gambians. And I think when Gambians saw that, it agitates them. And that's how a news item. But you know what I said about that? I'll pray Barrow to do that. Because then I'll have my desire. Then I'll know Barrow will go before elections. That will really get to Gambians. That will really get to Gambians. You see, this is the point I keep on telling, politicians, especially our opposition. Elections are not stolen on elections day. Elections are stolen well before. Years before. From where? One, you see, Yaya Jammeh was smart. You see, some of the mistakes that Jawara did, Yaya Jammeh capitalized on it. You see, in the First Republic, people don't know. Because some people just saw the IC. They think the IC it's been there before. In Jawara days, the Ministry of Local Government was in charge of election conducting elections. How can that be democratic? In a developing country. How can it not be democratic? We know what that means. Now, Yaya Jammeh came out and decided to win confidence to say, I will create an independent electoral council. But how independent? Look at the act that governed that IC. I will appoint people. I appoint. He put everything in a way. I determine. This is not Parliament. Determine the budget. Not the IEC determine the budget, but it's like IEC will have to take blessing from the finance or the executive in order to have their budget. The word independent, it's just a cosmetic arrangement there. Now, another point is, some people might be independent, but they still might not be competent because of they've not been recruited the right way. You see, that's why I keep on saying our opposition should make sure that our elections have integrity. Do you know why that's important? Ahmed, it's a measure. It's a measure to determine our democracy. And when elections are disputed, especially in Africa, it might destabilize the country. That's why it's important for our democracy to make sure our elections have integrity. Because it shows the maturity of our democracy. It shows the possibility that, look, people can win. If people have confidence that, no, Ahmad might lose the elections, you think those people would want to go and, coup d'etat or anything? But if they know that the only solution to this is to coup d'etat, they will do that. That's what Jawara created. It only, change that could happen here is people not to follow democracy. Democracy should have that confidence. And a true democracy, if you have that, people will have confidence in the systems that it can bring about change. Now, what is our opposition doing towards this? You know, we have a draft constitution. And another point I want to raise here. Ahmad, when a constitution gives limitations, they don't limit for the good. They limit for you not to be bad. If the constitution said now the president will be paid $50,000 a year, the constitution does not say that the president cannot be paid less than this thing. If the president chooses to say that, look, I am not going to accept my salary because I don't need it, I will have to give it away. Do we jump to say that no, the constitution says that you should be paid the money? It's the same thing. Best practice should always be this. If we draw a new constitution, now the constitution is not in effect, we should have it in us to start to measure what we do to that best practice. Now this president can be held accountable to make sure that we can determine. You see, these things will come out from a start. There are ways you do things to be done so that the president would abide or dare not bring us someone that would undermine our democracy. Because if we had the opposition coming together to look into issues, how can we do to improve things? This is it's to our interest. This is in our interest. Why can't we sit down and discuss how do we want to see the election IEC run? How do we want to do this? We cannot just leave that to the constitution. The constitution we have right now is not fit for purpose. We know that. How can we come together to make sure we have a legitimate right to put to the president or to the executive or parliament, make sure we have what we want? We are not doing that. Obviously, Mali Saleh have resigned because of his term finishes next month. The chairman should resign because his term finishes next month. But again, I am not sure if there is a loophole or not. Now, I think the act said that the commissioners can only serve 2 terms of 7 years, which will be 14 years. But if the commissioner, what will happen? Because I am not sure, I'm just putting it there. What would happen if the commissioner serve for 7 years or 8 years and now remove as a commissioner and to make the chair? Does it still say that, does it change the terms of reference? Because of the terms of reference have changed. Does it change the contract? Probably, we don't know. These things are things that's why we need civic education. That's why politicians should talk about these things. People will be educated. But the other reason is, Ahmad, we have come to realize that the IEC have been doing a lot of mistakes. Is it incompetence? Likely so. It's not intentional. Why did they have this incompetence? Do they have the capacity? These are things we need to ask. The 5 commissioners, or the chairman and the 4 commissioners, They are not the people that runs this thing. They have a role to play. But the operations is done by operational director and administrative directors and all the other bits of everything. Do we know? Did we do an assessment? Do we know what we have? We are talking about elections. That are so important. But we are taking part in all this. But what are we doing? We concentrate on mobilizing. That's why I said, apart from going to a political rally or meeting in their cluster of whatever you call them, they don't engage the general public. This is another problem why Gambian opposition don't spread and reflect the population. Because they are only comfortable in the people they know. That's why you see political parties are imagined as tribal entities, predominated by one tribe, and you have the followers become that. Because it's not based on going out there selling policies to bring them in. These are the engagements. Why did I call CA? Because they have an opportunity here. Because, when you are small and new, it's easy to adopt new system. If you are old and big, it's difficult to reform. But the good thing is, if CA start to perform, to be proactive, to be prescribing, to be doing, what happens? The big parties will take notice. Democracy, Ahmad, it's to participate to bring about change. The change that you desire to happen, the change you desire might not come out the way you wanted it. You might not win the elections, but due to your participation, the elections might be improved. Due to your participation, governance might be improved. Now, if you, and at the end game is here, by Ahmad or my party and Ahmad or whoever you call it, took part in the political process, did not win the elections, but you can stand out to say, since I joined the politics, Gambian politics have to improve. I have an input here. How little it is, I've made a difference. I think people should be satisfied on that, rather than to think that they have to be in politics in order to win. It's very important to win elections. It's very important to win seats. It's very important to have that position. I am not saying it's not important, but there's a way you measure that. We have to be realistic when we involve in things and see what can we achieve from this. Might be for the short term. I can project here and see, look, if I build a political party here, the way I want to see it, I don't see me winning. I can't see myself winning elections in 2 terms coming. I'm realistic here. But what I can achieve is I'll bring about change in many ways. For instance, the Liberal Democrats. The Liberal Democrats started in the United Kingdom by winning council seats, local government. They strategize and target seats, areas that they know that they can have appeal. When they target there, they try to have enough councillors in order to take over the municipality. Once they take over the municipality, they perform their policies. And when they perform their policies, what happens is, most cases, the head of the municipality will become their candidate for the parliamentary. Because we don't hold parliamentary and local government at the same time. And he becomes a parliamentarian and he goes forward. Before we know it, the Liberals started to move from 7 seats to 70 seats. And why did they have the 70 seats? The Iraq War. They took a position during the Iraq War. They became the anti-establishment party. They even went to march with the anti-war movement. Their party leader was in front of, which was not very common, to be seen. Both the Conservative and Labour, supported the war. Then in most, liberal, Labour and Conservative lost their seats. And they have that 70 seats. And that 70 seats led them to government. You see, they end up going into government without winning the election entirely. And just with 70 seats. They went into a coalition with a party that has almost 180 seats. And look at another thing is, when they went to government, they had an impact. What impact did they have? They lost something because some of their policies have to be taken into position. When they did the negotiation, they negotiated that UK, we used to have, our term system was not fixed. The Prime Minister can call up election 3 months before That's the way they caveat it. But they make sure that it be fixed down because they don't want to go into government and be ambushed by the conservative. The prime minister called, and they make sure certain strategic positions are afforded to them. If the conservative become the chancellor, the treasurer would be liberal. If the school minister become the secretary of state for education, the school minister would be liberal. They took those positions and they took some policies in the green policies, some of the social, conscious policies. They put it in there, and they spent their 5 years in government. Their problem was one of their major policy was the student tuition, and because of their position on student tuition was in fact to be scrapped, and they want votes in university towns and cities. Now they went in government and they negotiated, and one of the bargains they did was to allow the conservative not only to freeze, not to abolish the student tuition, but in fact to increase, and they paid dearly for that. That's what politics is, though. End of the day, they had their chance, they went to government, and they achieved some of their aspirations. We have to understand why we get involved in politics. We don't get involved in politics for our personal well-being to be advanced. No, yes, we advance by the legacy we gain from taking part. But we take part in politics to improve governance as it is, improve our society as it is. If you are a councillor, you have to make sure that you achieve your vision for that area you are. If you are an MP, you have to do that. If you become a minister or become the president, that's what it should be. If you are a party member, again, you have that say. You should make sure you are vocal. You should make sure you are proactive to make sure your party represents your value. Join a party that holds your value. And don't join a party, end of the day, that party becomes a party for the few. A party is for the party leader and his selected members. And your efforts and everything else, it's to empower these people. You are not doing things that would empower your society for that matter because of what positions your party takes. And this is the sad thing is we have to make sure we have this civic education into the Gambia, engage ourselves to have it. Because you can see even the educated class, what we call educated people, most of their decisions are put on emotion. Or I'd rather not support this. Because if I support this position, it empowers that party. I regardless what the support empowers, one thing is to be determined. Is it for the greater good? If my position today, if I support a party or whatever it is, or whatever I support would be, I measure it to the greater good. I am not doing it for my party, I'm doing it for my society. This is where we say that you look at the national interest. You look at the national interest. Yes, the party will have a policy, party will have an interest or position, but when it comes to the nation, the national interest become greater. The party interest cannot be greater. When it comes to a party, the individual interest cannot be greater than the party interest. Then that's why we should hold our officers and elected or selected officers, whoever have responsibility, or as influencers, we should take responsibility and make sure we do the right thing for country. Ahmed.
Thank you, Ven. Once again, we come to the end of this program, but before I have to highlight something very important you mentioned, that is the involvement of the local government in elections. You know, Jawara abused this very well, and our parliamentarians, I don't know what they are thinking, but they want to give the power to the president to choose the chiefs. We know how important the chiefs are from colonial days. They were used by the colonials, so that they can help the status quo. And Jawara capitalized on that and make it even worse. And we've seen, strategically already how Lamin Diba, went on to change chiefs on all that. I think chiefs should be elected. They shouldn't be elected, but they shouldn't be selected by the local government, and also they also directly responsible for the alikalos. I used to hear my grandfather in Gunju that I'm a political appointment during Yajame time. When
Yeah,
you
yeah,
talk politics, he said, no, I'm political appointment. I can't do this.
yeah.
What I mean? So, that's all undermines our democracy. I'm going to give you the final say, but before that, we have a few comments, not many today. Ami Strand said, brother, you are right. Allah gave us the time to prepare ourselves. That is about the COVID-19. The
Yeah.
Gambian numbers were very, very slow coming in. The government have all the time in the world to do the right thing, but they don't. All they are interested in is to squander the millions, to divide it between themselves and go and build their mansions. And two people complain about the connections. I'm not sure if that is our end or their end. I'm not sure about that. Sorry about that if it is from our ends. Marta Khan said, hello, gentlemen. Thanks for your tireless efforts. And Ibrahim Jani from UK say, I like Ben. Thank you too. Mo Jane said, the warranty, that is the roads
Yeah.
code we see in Panama. The warranty and maintenance fund is used to build their luxurious homes. So that you can kindly close this. And thank you all to the viewers as well. And please share this video so it can get to the right people. We really appreciate your time and attention. That's we all can do something, to
And
save our country. We are in a right mess. We are in a right mess. And to sit there, not do anything, is the worst. You are part of it. They said silence you, that means you are complicit.
yeah.
So that's why we are running after Ben. He's a very, very busy man, and we appreciate his time to come here to discuss with us, to explain it to the common man, the implications. And if we don't do this, what is going to happen? That's what he's been doing all his life. Like the situation in Banjul, he sounded this more than a year ago. He come back again and tell Gambians, this guy is not even an engineer. The equipment he is going to use might not even belongs to him. They might belong to Gambia, but he went away anyway, and we've seen the results. Now we've seen the results in Jambanjeri Road. Everybody,
And Karawan. Have you seen
yeah,
Karawan? And okay,
yeah,
if you look at the structure in Karawan, we are not engineers. You can see the
yeah,
concrete. The concrete is not
yeah,
affected. This concrete is
mhm,
right there. But what
yeah,
give away is the gravel,
gravel, yeah,
the quality
mhm,
of material use, and the way
yeah,
is, there's a process. We need to take our qualified people to look after this thing, and it gave away.
mhm,
Now,
yeah,
how much is it costing us? Now
yeah,
it costs
yeah,
us more than
mhm,
if we have done it the right way.
yeah,
But again, if the president himself expect to be given something out of a contract, ministers and down the road, and when people come out and
mhm,
blame masoners or laborers for stealing a bag of cement,
mhm,
it's a trickle down effect. It starts
yeah,
from awarding contracts coming down.
yeah,
I mean, I'll give you an example. The sea rehabilitation, erosion, this thing was guaranteed for 50 years. Do you know why Gambia government could not go again? I mean, to ask the Dutch government, company to come and fix it, because of one of the reasons. Part of the contract was, to make sure the sand not mined from the beaches. And Yaya Jammeh went and mined the sand from the beaches. Now erosions happen again. The company they guaranteed that work for 50 years. And I tell you, the work was going to last for 50 years or more. If we have done the maintenance and agreed on to the policies we agree on, that you don't do sand mining on the beach. If you do it, it brings the water out. But these things don't happen. I just have to close to say thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. We are busy. But do you know why? What makes it easy? It's the feedback we have from people. It's the difference that we are making. I will continue to tell Gambians to continue engaging each other. It's working. Gambians are getting are more aware, conscious. They have not seen the leadership out here. If a leadership comes out of here today, you will see a difference. I tell you that. I know Gambians to say, why Holland Gambia needs to be. They have not seen it. You don't expect people just to get up. We don't even want that to happen. That's chaos. But we are appealing to people to improve themselves, to do more. I am appealing to political parties to do more. I want to see them succeed. I want to see every political party succeed. What does that mean? That every political party is effective. You might be effective doesn't mean that you win the elections, but you would do an impact. You'll have people that believe in you, and part of your effort would be this collective effort that will bring about the change. If we go to elections and it's for Barrow to lose and whatever party to win, then we don't have a choice. We should go to elections as having a choice that 3 parties or 4 parties. Now, any party that gets in would just be getting by the slim margin, either second round or a slim margin. If that happens, what happens with the parliament? The parliament will be more challenging. Then that government would be whole accountable. But if we sit to say, let Barrow fall, and any party but Barrow, what happens is those parties will become complacent. This is what happened with Jawar. You become complacent, sit down, know that nobody can win your elections. The opposition will ever have 7 seats. 7 seats cannot bring about change in anything in parliament. I can do whatever I want. I control the police force. I control the army. If any dissent come out, I do this. But not and only that, I will use my influence as government to prioritize development and prioritize opportunity. I mean, the share of equity in a way that I will divide Gambians. Now, Gambians would depend on me. They would not be independent. I mean, I will not create a conducive environment where Gambians can decide to be independent of themselves and thrive. No, I would keep Gambians ignorant so that they would not know a difference. But I have a story for them now. The Gambian can choose to be ignorant now because of the access of social media, and that's even the worst. They might have the wrong education on social media, and that's disastrous. That's why we need a responsible leadership. And if I say responsible leadership again, I am not only calling Adam Barrow and his government, I am calling on institutions. And institutions, the opposition is part of it. And civil society is part of it. I envy what you people do in Gunjur and do in other communities, where you involve in every level of community development, education, healthcare, social cohesion, and everything. The programs you do, when you do any program, even the center, the youth center, or whatever you guys are building, if you go there, you don't see NPP, you don't see UDP, you don't see GDC or anything. What do you see? Gunjur. You see, when you join and do something together, everybody have a share of it, and everybody holds it together, and you recognize the values and things that you have in common. But if there's inactivity, what happens? You recognize each other as Mandinkas, as Fulas, as Jolas, and other communities. And then as political parties, because only ideology happen is politics, or other ideology happen is Islam and Christian, or non-believers. You see, these are the things. That's why social cohesion is about doing things together. Doesn't mean that we have to belong to the same faith, but people of faith, we have to respect each other. I mean, we don't have to be of the same tribe, but what we have to have is the interest of that community. How do we make sure our children play in a safe area? Because if I say our children, I am not saying the Mandinka children or Fula children. I am not saying the children from NPP house or UDP house or GDC house. I am saying our children of this community. Now, everybody comes around to build a safe place for our children. Everybody looks after each other. So this is, now where do we have difference on the ideas on how to move it forward? And because of the tolerance we have, we will test ideas. We will find way to decide which idea will be given priority. That's where democracy come in. Now, you NPP will be voted for because they've won the argument that give us the opportunity. Our idea is this, or UDP can win over, or HCA or GDC can win over. To say that, select me. My idea is different from this three, and my idea is the right one. Now, if you are basing your selection on ideas, would there be tribalism? if you are basing your ideas on selecting of policies, you think a Christian doesn't stand chance to represent the community of Gunjur or constituency of Gunjur? Because you are not going to look at him as a Christian. What do you look at? Or the CA put the best candidate, or UDP put the best candidate, or NPP put the best candidate. Because it's your interest you're looking at. The interest of the community. And then once, the interesting thing here is, once the party, any party that wins the elections, why do we say after elections, now we all come together? Now you have just gone through a process to acknowledge that this is the best idea. Now let's make this idea work. Now it's time to make this idea work. Because if this idea works, it benefits us all. The only time you go to against that idea is that you guys have not done the right thing to select or get the right person in office or the right party in office. Now you keep on fighting each other. You see, why would that happen? That can only happen when there's no integrity in the elections. Now the election dispute comes in, and now that candidate lost the legitimacy. Because I can stand to say definitely we have not voted for NPP, or we have not voted for UDP, or GDC, or CA. Because of the elections were fraud. Where there's no legitimacy, what happened? Violence. People disrespect authority. Because they don't recognize authority. Because that authority was not based on the right process. That's why when you have coup d'etat, what happened? They seize the constitution. What part of this constitution do they seize first? Suspend the fundamental freedoms. A curfew will be put in to put control. They suspend your rights to assembly because they don't want you to conspire, to challenge them, because they're not legitimate. If you win an election, you don't need to do that. The only time you do that after winning an election, if there was a question of integrity in that election. Thank you very much, Ahmad. As we go on this discussion.
Yeah, no, it can go on forever. Thank you very much. We really appreciate your time. This is just brilliant. Yeah. Thank you all viewers. And that's what we have for you today. Inshallah, tomorrow I'll be back here again with this lady, Kadi Baro. We're talking about this COVID-19 and how our medical system is been broken down by negligence. So thank you all once again. We really appreciate your time.
Ahmad, did you see what I told you about the Brikama case?
Yeah, you did. Again, you don't want this word. I'm going to mention it. Vindicated again. You hate it.
I am here to be offered. I can do a consultancy. Yeah. I cannot join a party.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye. Yeah.
Alai sumana le la ila ndema ilada.
Ñileng bunda lulolti isi fam mako no fay si tanka kaja fo ning fatan fansola pour que ñing corona jangaro kel bunda folo ela ka fuñol ni la dimbayal kala mutandi ko ñing corona jangaro bu ka jibe di musi jumalati warante ibada banku jumaleto walla iboro la kuloro mu kurola jumalati bunda fulanjang ikanaje ko tamalal dam male ka ta ñing corona jangaro soto fanna jama yayi tandile ko ñin tamalal jama jaato kende yatale andum ke kataku jamale ke banku do ko kono bunda sabanjam mol hakilo bulandi ko ño kajafo ning fatam fanso satin nan ni nole fang fo modol sila kurango mabo puli kanata jaaroro la andum ñin si mobe dundi no mantoro kono le bunda nani njam al nga bala fa ñoye nga ñoma koy bunda lulu njam niye molo meye atenyum corona kurang la mandar go sodo afoye 1025 command andum ite fenjola
ɗiɗo ko laawi joyɗi wawete rewde hara en aybinani en bonani fi haɓagol coronavirus ko adi kon jangine ɓe ngure mon e weldiɓe mon hara on darani leñol ma koddigagu ko ɗimmi kon wata on ɓaɗoɗe kawtal leydi men jogiiɓe nde nawnare a wiya ka non kawtal leydi ɓe ko jogiiɓe nawnare nden tun ko tammiti kon ay bingol jogiiɓe nde nawnare waɗay ha en wawata andude goɗɗo goo sino jogii sabu natima waɗay ha ɓe hersirate ɗum no bonani en enen fof naya ɓunɗum tambitoɗe moƴƴe andite ɗum koko feƴƴata joya ɓunɗum si tawi no woodi mo sikkitiɗon walla anduɗon jogiiɗo nde nawnare wota on aame nodde 1025 no yawiri.
nañu booloo xeex xaajaaleeg xeet yi di xew ci jamono gi coronavirus xewee juróomi anam yiñ mun a jëfandoo mooy benn nañuy jàngal suñuy xarit ak jaboot yi ne coronavirus amut xaajaaleeg seen ñaar bu ñu tiiñal gan yi ak am di jaama réew mi ndaxte ci lu bari gan yi am nañ wérgu yaram te bokk nañ ci dooleel koom-koomi réew mi ñett nañu fàttali suñ boppa xaajaale yi mun naa tax képp ku am màndarga jàngoro gi du feeñal boppam wala sàkku ndimbal te loolu mun naa indil ñëpp loraange ñeent nañu laabiir te ubbi suñu xol yi ci bépp doomu aadama ci jamono tolof-tolof yi juróom képp kuñ xam kuy wone màndarga yi wala am jàngoro gi nañ leen ñaax ñu woote ci 1025 te doo fay dara